first speaker is the co-editor of Public Scholarship in Literary Studies, now in its final stages of production for publication with Amherst College Press. Rosemary Johnsen has been with Governor State University for 15 years, serving first as an accomplished teacher scholar in the English program, where she specialized in crime fiction, Irish literature, and public humanities. Her outstanding teaching, research, and service were recognized by the university faculty through a Faculty Excellence Award in 2015, one of only 3 given campus-wide each year. She serves the university as Associate Provost and Associate Vice President for Academic Affairs. She's also been serving as interim administrator of the university library since January of 2020. Rather than list her extensive professional activity, I will point you to her website at rosemaryj.com for more information. Welcome again to this evening's event, and I will turn it over to Rosemary.
My title slide includes most of my professional titles. I don't usually list them all, but I did because all have some bearing on my public scholarship. So I'd like to begin by making a series of 4 claims about public scholarship in the humanities. These are markers or starting points for discussion. I am not going to linger over them. They are all claims that I make in my contribution to the book, which is the concluding chapter and a sort of call for action. So this first one, hopefully this is true, that the people who participate in this know what it can do for our understanding in relation to the world. I also believe that literary studies scholars have both a data set, what we know about literature and the context that informs it, and a skill set, we know what to do with it and how to talk about it, that enables us to make contributions to public life. Not everyone may agree with that one. Literary criticism has the potential not only to explain in terms of understanding, but to actively change our terms of engagement with current realities. That's an argument that I make in a piece on Patrick Hamilton's play, Gaslight, in the Los Angeles Review of Books. If you're interested in what that looks like at more length. Finally, a quote from Cora Kaplan from 1989, which seems a long time ago. My scholarship has often had a feminist orientation, and I think this framework that Kaplan presents, that our source material should not be just an object of study, though it should be an object of study. I think that's a valuable concept for public scholarship. Look forward, think actively. So public scholarship takes many forms. These are some examples of my public scholarship that I pulled off my CV. One of the audiences tonight is graduate students and others who may be thinking about, how do I get started? What is public scholarship? So I just wanted to suggest the kind of range of audiences, formats. There's public facing writing. There's kind of fairly traditional forms of public scholarship like appearing at theaters. The Handmaid's Tale, there was a theme week on Media Commons. That was something that Professor Debbie James and the communication program invited me to be a part of, and we did everything virtually. Humanities and the Public, the president of NEML at that time invited people to come, and he had a whole slate of events on public scholarship, and they were held off-site, not in the conference hotel, at the Mark Twain House and Museum. That's Ben Railton, who is a great public scholar and a great promoter of other people's public scholarship, and I'm really happy that he's with us this evening. So shout out to him. So President Green spoke of the intellectual public square that Governor State University strives to be in the Chicago Southland. And I want to talk briefly about a couple of examples of public scholarship that illustrate how GSU is not only the site of public engagement with the arts and humanities. If you see in this picture, that's our campus. We're about 35 miles south of Chicago, but this is not urban. And our campus grounds is a sculpture park, a highly regarded sculpture park. So we are a site of public scholarship. But GSU also fosters growth in members of the campus community to prepare and take public scholarship out beyond campus. Tonight's panelists will be describing an array of different types of public engagement So I will focus briefly on activities that were part of 2 NEH grants through the Dialogues on the Experience of War program. So as you can see here on the slide, student veterans were trained as discussion facilitators, and then they were embedded in a 4-credit university course before going on to engage audiences across campus and in the surrounding community through the shared practice of literary criticism. The public events and activities of the grant projects illustrate the potential of literary criticism to serve as meaningful, even transformative public scholarship, and they represent the multi-directional exchange of ideas that is characteristic of successful public scholarship grounded in literary study. Instruction and practice in the tools of literary criticism, confidence in its value, and an ever-increasing knowledge base of primary sources helped establish these student veterans and students as public scholars in their own right. Over the course of the 2 grant projects, the student veteran teams, course students, the co-directors, Dr. Merrick and I, and others, filmed a televised town hall event discussing humanities text before a live studio audience, hosted a Veterans Day program on campus that included an open poetry discussion, veteran art exhibition, World War I panel discussion, and the premiere of a documentary film made by one of our 2017 student veterans. And they brought interactive humanities discussions to local sites, including a VFW post, public library, and community college. This was truly a community effort to do all of that. And many of those who participated are here this evening in the audience. The students who took their public scholarship out into the community are recognized in the acknowledgements of the book, and several of them are here this evening. And I want to give a shout out to Amy Henderson, Ida Abdullah, Haley Walsh, and 2 other English alumni who are here this evening, Sarah Hirsch and Sam Schmidt, have continued meaningful engagement with public scholarship in the humanities in ways that deserve recognition as well. We have wonderful alumni in the English programs. So these photos speak to the range of events that we did during those grants. So there is a book, right? So Amherst College Press. I'll go ahead and put up the cover so you can admire it while I talk a little bit about Amherst College Press. And this is a photo that I took. I have to say that too. That's extremely immodest, but this is my photo. I love it. So my co-editor, Rachel Arteaga of the Simpson Center for the Humanities at the University of Washington, planted the seeds for this collection with a call for papers that led to a special session at the January 2018 MLA. That session, Literary Criticism as Public Scholarship, included several of the book's contributors, and we commissioned additional contributions to round out the collection. I was scheduled to meet with the press's acquisitions editor at the MLA, but that became a phone conversation in late January because many of us were unable to make it to New York City. That was the year of the bomb cyclone storm, some of you may remember. From the beginning, Amherst College Press seemed the ideal home for our collection. In their own words, the press, quote, aims to locate, develop, and sustain scholarship through a platinum open access publishing model. Our works are published at no cost to authors, their institutions, or readers. We seek to lead the way in establishing best practices for born digital, peer-reviewed, open access monograph publishing by identifying, evaluating, and advocating for transformative scholarship that spurs creative dialogue within and between traditional fields of inquiry, emphasizes disciplinary innovation, draws upon new models of collaborative research, and strives to reach the broadest audience possible. What a home for a collection of essays on public scholarship. As soon as the book production process is complete, you will be able to read it at no cost on the Amherst College Press Fulcrum page, and I've got that web address up on the slide. A paperback edition will be available for under $20. So I want to share with you the full table of contents so you can see the full range. I'll just make a couple of brief comments. The chapters move from the most individual forms of public scholarship to the most institutional, and I mean both individual and institutional in the best possible senses of those words. The project at the Center for Community Engaged Narrative Arts, they have literally created an institution. It's a collaboration between the community and the university. Each chapter makes a vital contribution to the whole, so I hope all of you will peruse all of them in due course. So please keep an eye on ACP's Fulcrum page. I do want to mention Cynthia Haven, who is in the audience tonight, and I've put her Twitter handle up here so that you can find her. Cynthia was a 2018 NEH Public Scholar, and the focus of her contribution to the book is about her blog. She was very early on blogging. Her blog was hosted on Stanford University Space, and in her chapter, she describes the international impact of her blog, which is called the Book Haven, which is great. So, in conclusion, I want to offer a date, an image, and an affirmation. So here's the date. So by the time we went through all the processes with the books, and there were delays, weird delays, more weather delays. One of the board meetings was canceled because of a snowstorm, delays because of life is life. So we submitted the thing in what is pretty nearly its final form on February 24th, 2020. And I think we all know what happened within about 10 days of that. And I was afraid, I'll just say that, I was afraid that the book on public scholarship would seem too far away from the early days of the pandemic and that the reviewers would say, maybe last year, right? But that didn't happen. In fact, the opposite happened. And the board, the editorial advisory board of the press, said that this was a very opportune moment. I think is a very hopeful way to look at it. So here's my image. The image is from an exhibition of Shirley Baker photographs at the Manchester Art Gallery in the north of England, with flags planted by visitors of places where they, their family or friends had lived in this area where Shirley Baker took her famous photographs in the 60s and 70s. The affirmation is this text, which is the very end of my conclusion of the book. If we think about Cora Kaplan's what you might do or produce or be in some future conjuncture, I think public scholarship in the humanities, like feminist teaching and scholarship, teaches us that planting a flag, doing what you can where you are, that all can add up to real change, even in the face of an overwhelmingly negative zeitgeist. Public scholarship at its best is transformative, and this evening's speakers will share some of that energy with us. Thank you.